initiate a search and rescue operation. Tragically, the aftershocks from the Bucaniche earthquake also caused damage in the industrial port of Gazdanice. Concrete blocks fall from buildings, crushing cars underneath, and the third floor of a local plastics factory catches fire after hydrogen fluoride tanks stored there explode.
First of all, of course, the important is to increase the readiness of nations in the APC framework to deal with chemical, biological, or radiological agents, particularly if they're used by terrorists. A second important element is that we, during this exercise, train teams of different nations in working together, so that not only in an exercise but also in a real emergency they will be able to work side by side, so that they all improve their readiness to work in an environment like this.
The earthquake not only damages houses and other buildings, but also the rail infrastructure is severely damaged. A train carrying passengers crashes with a train transporting chemicals. Local, but also international firefighting units are brought to the scene and manage to locate the leak in the train car, neutralize the outflux of the chemical substance, and rescue the passengers. Not only national and international rescue teams participate in the exercise, but also the Croatian Red Cross participates in playing a role in this exercise.
The biggest role is then we put here this accommodation center. Capacity of this camp is something about 250 beds. We also have some small field hospital for some chronic disease or less wounded person. We have a special team for psychological support, but also what is very important, then we have here and water sanitation teams who provide the water for all this camp. About 500 people per day.
Da je nestao jedan mornar i ljudi u okolici na brodu da se loše, koji je izašao izvan lučkog dijela da bi se na njemu moglo ukazati.
Tehnologija življenja danas je takva da možemo uvijek očekivati i velike elementarne katastrofe, možemo tehnološke katastrofe i u tom smislu mi možemo očekivati i da moramo imati zajedničke akcije. I zato su i važne ovakve vježbe da u tim akcijama uvježbamo ljude da mogu biti najoptimalniji.
Ваша задача обозначить место наибольшей концентрации. Связь. Так, разведка. Первый идет прибор. Прибор где? Первый.
The importance, more in general, of the exercise is, of course, the opportunity for teams to train in realistic circumstances. One, to learn from other teams, from other nations, so to share best practices, as we say. And, of course, the people coming out here, the first responders, the real experts, take their experience back home. So in that sense, they function as multipliers for taking home the lessons learned and implement them at home.
Chemical facilities in the vicinity are damaged and hazardous materials leak from a damaged pipeline and explode. Local, but also international firefighting units are brought to the scene and manage to locate the leak in the pipeline and neutralize the outflux of the chemical substance. Some of the workers in the factory are not only wounded, but also the fear exists that they could be contaminated with the chemical. Consequently, specialised units are brought to the accident site to decontaminate the casualties. The exercise concluded with an incident at Zadar airport, where a hijacked plane with some 20 hostages was forced to land. Due to a quick intervention of the Croatian police, the hijackers are arrested. However, swiftly after the hostages are released, local police in Zadar are contacted by members of the terrorist group to which the hijackers belong, informing them that a dangerous biological agent has been spread inside the aircraft.
I'm absolutely delighted that NATO is taking very seriously indeed the threat of terrorism. I have been concerned for a long time about preparedness throughout the NATO area for terrorism, whether it be terrorism in the form of hostages, whether it be in the form of chemical, biological, radiological or nuclear attack, whether it be, for instance, a dirty bomb or a hijack as we've seen here. I think NATO is taking this seriously, and I rejoice at that. You saw those people who went in and out of that aircraft. There were special branch people, ambulance people, there were police, and various emergency services. I wonder how many of them, months and years before, had been vaccinated for some of the biological diseases like anthrax or smallpox, the plague. In my view, very, very many more of the emergency services ought to be vaccinated long before an incident so that they don't become sufferers themselves.
Immediately, biological assessment teams and decontamination teams are dispatched to the exercise side, performing the necessary investigations and decontamination.
The type of incidents we have trained with many teams, by the way, many teams from different countries, were very useful. For the first time, we have exercised a biological scenario. We have done more often a chemical scenario. The coordination between the teams was excellent. So all in all, a very positive experience.
The city of Zadar, along the Croatian coast, is hit by an earthquake with a magnitude of 7.7 on the Richter scale. The initial death toll of the earthquake is estimated at 11. However, many others are feared injured and trapped under the rubble. Approximately 40 people are reported missing. National and international rescue teams initiate a search and rescue operation. Tragically, the aftershocks from the Bucaniche earthquake